You're watching Soulmates. It's the show made by runners, created for runners, where we talk about all the latest running shoes. And joining us on set today is two-time SEA Games gold medalist, Mr. Soh Rui Yong. Welcome to our show, Rui Yong.
Thanks, John.
Can you tell us something that nobody knows about you?
Favorite Marvel character? Iron Man.
We're delighted to have you join us on show today to reveal this week's Shoe of the Week, the Under Armour Flow Velociti Elite. The 2.0 warped upper to provide somewhat of a loose lockdown, not too firm, but it's enough that gives you a roomy feel in the toe box area. Two types of midsole foam used, of course. Closer to the top of the foot is the P-Max foam layer, and then underneath that is the layer of Under Armour's new soft and lighter critical flow foam with a full-length carbon fiber plate sandwich in between. Have you actually felt the propulsion effect that this shoe actually has been said to give?
Out of all the Under Armour shoes I've worn, this is by far the most advanced. I think it was many years in the making, which is why there's this quantum leap in technology. When you race on the track with it, or when you do your fast sessions on the track with it, you can certainly feel that it's a lot bouncier than any previous Under Armour shoe. It's soft, yet light, yet cushy, so you get everything in one. You get good cushioning, you get good responsiveness, and you get good propulsion forward. So I've worn the prototype for this. I was quite fortunate to be involved in the development of this shoe. So what happened was that I was racing the 2021 Valencia Marathon in a prototype of the Flow Velociti Elite. Back then, the prototype, I must say, was definitely not a completed product. So it was still a little bit stiff. You know, my feet were hurting towards the end of the marathon, and I did put that feedback into the shoe. Thankfully, I still managed to set a new Singapore record in the prototype, even though it was not the completed product yet. So just imagine what you can do in a shoe that's now the complete product. I'm very excited.
It does provide a surprising amount of comfort. I think it could also be due to the TP sock liner that's right inside the shoe. At the back, in the heel counter as well, that gives it a little bit of a softer feel, slightly more cushioning, because this shoe was designed to be a marathon shoe. 36 mm in the rear foot and 28 millimeters in the forefoot, which gives us an overall drop of 8 millimeters, which is pretty consistent in terms of the overall shoe drop with the rest of the super shoes that we've seen. What can you say, honestly, that you like the most about the shoe, this particular shoe, the UA Flow Velociti Elite?
By far, this is the Under Armour shoe that has the best cushioning for competition, and it is also extremely light. So you get really the best of both worlds. You get a really light shoe and good cushioning and responsiveness as well. And this is a combination of a quantum leap in technology that allows P-Max foam to be used in conjunction with the carbon fiber plate. So P-Max foam is incredibly light, but not very stable. The carbon fiber plate helps to stabilize the shoe, and that's why you get an end result of something that's both light and pretty aggressive in terms of allowing you to attack the race and protect your legs at the same time. Because, I mean, you run a couple of marathons, you know that once you pass 30 kilometers, a lot of the pounding gets to your legs, and then that's when it's very hard to even bring your legs up.
Areas that perhaps you hope it could, subsequent editions or the Flow Elite?
Hopefully it can get lighter and be even more cushion, but I think that's asking for a lot. But I mean, it will happen.
Do you use this for, what kind of training sessions would you use this for?
I would only use this shoe for fast sessions. So anything that you're running like marathon pace or slightly slower than marathon pace or faster, like on the track or on the roads. Basically, if you're just going for a jog, I wouldn't use this shoe. It doesn't feel very good when you're going at slow paces anyway. Like you need to run at a certain effort or a certain pace in order to feel the maximum responsiveness from the shoe.
Right, now, as with all episodes of Soulmates, we usually rate our shoes out of 5 in 5 categories. That's comfort, stability, responsiveness, grippiness, and of course, value for money. So we're going to get Rui Yong to help us with that today. In terms of comfort, what would you rate it out of 5?
I would say it's quite comfortable. I would rate it 4.5. It's only because that I feel, no shoe is perfect. And I think that comfort-wise, it's comfortable because the upper mesh, especially in Singapore where it's hot and humid, you sweat a lot. You really need an upper mesh that's very light, and you can kind of see through. See when you're wearing the shoe, you can see your socks and everything like that. It dries very quickly, which is good because when you wash the shoe after that, it dries very quickly. And on the track, it does feel good. It's just that again, I train a lot, I sweat a lot. Sometimes the shoe can feel a little bit soggy when you're running in it towards the end of a session, which makes it very hard to really push and run at your fastest pace. So that's the only drawback that I have. But I think that will be the same for most shoes in Singapore, and as long as there's a lot of cushion in it.
Next up would be stability in terms of overall lockdown of the shoe.
I run on it on the track a lot, and on the bends, everything, it feels fine. Stability-wise, I'll give it 5. I don't see... I mean, you have to take into account that this is a thicker super shoe, and super shoes aren't known for being the most stable, based on feedback anyway. But this one seems to be quite stable, in my opinion. Yeah.
Responsiveness, of course, we're talking about. Just now you mentioned quite a few times keyword responsiveness.
Yes.
How would you rate it out of 5?
It's the most responsive Under Armour racing shoe I've worn. So,
Okay.
Based on that, 4.5. Hopefully, it can get a bit better, so we can really get more aggressive in future models.
How does the shoe fare in terms of its overall grippiness?
I personally haven't had issues with it, but the thing about this shoe is first of all, grip, I think I'll give it a 5. But once you run in it a few times, and this is the same for a lot of racing shoes, it wears down rather quickly, which is why I also recommend not using it for anything apart from important workouts and races. The sole on the bottom does wear off quite quickly, which means that the grippiness could lose out the more you use the shoe. Yeah, so that's just something to be careful about.
And value for money, last category, out of 5.
To be very honest, $300 for a pair of shoes is on the pricey side, but it is the market rate nowadays. So any shoe that is $300, I wouldn't really give it 5. So 4.
Which gives us an overall shoe rating of 4.7 soles out of 5. A very decent score for the UA Flow Velociti Elite. Thank you so much for joining us in today's episode of Soulmates. If you guys haven't already checked it out, please do check it out. It's available online for UA.com, any of the Under Armour brand houses, and of course also on iRun as well. So we will look forward to seeing you in the next episode of Soulmates. Bye.
Bye.